Session number 10, further use of the will.
Posing pictures, either external or imaginary. And what have we been encouraged to do since we were children? What are we programmed to do? We're programmed to look outside. So what we're really doing is looking into the past, because what's going on outside is nothing but the manifestation of what we've thought in the past. And what do we see outside? The newspapers, the radios, the television, they're flashing bad pictures at us. We have a tendency to spend too much time talking about what's wrong or what won't work. Well, I think we can get away from that. Wallace Wattles said, "Do not tell others of any past financial problems. Do not think of them at all. Do not tell anyone about the poverty of your parents or the hardships of your early life. To do any of these things is to mentally class yourself with the poor for the time being, and this will certainly check the movement of things in your direction." We were given some good advice when a great teacher said, "Let the dead bury the dead." In other words, put poverty and all things that pertain to poverty completely behind you. You have accepted a certain theory of the universe as being correct, and are resting all of your hopes of happiness on this being correct. What can you gain by giving heed to conflicting theories? Do not read religious books which tell you that the world is soon coming to an end. Do not read the writings of muckrakers or pessimistic philosophers who tell you that it is going to the devil. The world is not going to the devil. It is going to God. It is a wonderful becoming. Spirit is always for expansion and fuller expression. We're moving in the right direction always. Whether we agree with that or not really doesn't make any difference. It's still so. Wattles pointed out that true, there may be a good many things in existing conditions which are disagreeable. But what is the use of studying them when they are certainly passing away, and when the study of them tends to check their passing and keep them with us? Why give time and attention to things which are being removed by evolutionary growth, when you can hasten their removal only by promoting the evolutionary growth as far as your part of it goes? No matter how horrible the apparent condition may be in certain countries, sections, or places, you waste your time and destroy your own chances by considering them. You should interest yourself in the world's becoming rich. Think of the riches the world is coming into instead of the poverty it is growing out of. And bear in mind that the only way in which you can assist the world in growing rich is by growing rich yourself through the creative method, not by the competitive one. Give your attention wholly to riches, ignore poverty. Whenever you give or think of those who are poor, think and speak of them as those who are becoming rich, as those who are to be congratulated rather than pitied. Then they and others will catch the inspiration and begin to search for their way out. Wattles goes on to say, "Because I say that you are to give your whole time and mind and thought to riches, it does not mean that you are to be sordid or mean. To become really rich is the noblest aim you can have in life, because it includes everything else." On the competitive plane, the struggle to get rich is a godless scramble for power over other people. But when we come into the creative mind, all is changed. All that is possible in the way of greatness and soul unfoldment, of service and lofty endeavor, comes by way of getting rich. All is made possible by the use of things. If you do not have physical health, you will find that its attainment is conditional on your getting rich. Only those who are emancipated from financial worry and who have the means to live a carefree existence and follow hygienic practices can have and retain health. Moral and spiritual greatness is only possible for those who are above the competitive battle for existence. And only those who are becoming rich on the plane of creative thought are free from the degrading influences of competition. If your heart is set on domestic happiness, remember that love flourishes best where there is refinement, a high level of thought, and freedom from corrupting influences. These are to be found only where riches are attained without strife or rivalry by the exercise of creative thought. Wattles repeats this. He said, "You can aim at nothing so great or noble as to become rich. You must fix your attention on your mental picture of riches, to the exclusion of all that may tend to dim or obscure your vision. You must learn to see the underlying truth in all things. You must see beneath all seemingly wrong conditions the great one life ever moving forward toward fuller expression and more complete happiness. It is the truth that there is no such thing as poverty. There is only wealth. Some people remain in poverty because they are ignorant of the fact that there is wealth for them. These people can best be taught by showing them the way to affluence in your own person and practice. Others are poor because, while they feel that there is a way out, they are too intellectually indolent to put forth the mental effort necessary to find that way and travel it. And for these people, the very best thing you can do is to arouse their desire by showing them the happiness that comes from being rightly rich. Others are poor because, while they have some notion of science, they have become so swamped and lost in a maze of metaphysical and occult theories that they do not know which road to take. They try a mixture of many systems and fail in all. For these, again, the very best thing to do is to show them the right way in your own person and practice. An ounce of doing things is worth a pound of theorizing. The very best thing you can do for the whole world is to make the most of yourself. We're giving you another opportunity with this marvelous program, The Secret Science of Getting Rich, by exposing them to this program. Showing them how you use it, showing them how they can use it, showing them how you can earn a fortune with it, and they can too. You can serve God and your fellow humans in no more effective way than by getting rich. That is, if you get rich by the creative method and not by the competitive one. Wattles went on. He said another thing. I assert that this program gives in detail the principles of the science of getting rich. You do not need to read any other book upon the subject. Now, this may sound narrow and egotistical. However, there is no more scientific method of computation in mathematics than by addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. No other method is possible. There can be only one shortest distance between 2 points. There is only one way to think scientifically, and that is to think in the way that leads to the most direct and simple route to the goal. This makes so much sense if you'll stop and think about it. Why root around and start over and start over? This is the way. You can see this will work. No person has yet formulated a briefer or less complex system than the one I am describing here. It has been stripped of all non-essentials. When you begin this method, lay all others aside. Put them out of your mind altogether. Now, Lloyd Conant encouraged me to do that back in 1968. I can tell you openly and honestly, it has earned me millions of dollars. Now, I have read many other books. I read for pleasure. I read for mental stimulation. And I would imagine you probably do too. But if you're looking for a program, if you're looking for a system, if you're looking for the shortest path to material wealth and personal fulfillment, you've got it here. This is it. Now, after you've made good and become rich, you may study other systems as much as you please, but until you are quite sure that you have gained what you want, do not read anything else on this subject except the authors mentioned in the preface. Only read the most optimistic comments on the world's news, just those that are in harmony with your picture. Also, postpone your investigations into the occult. Do not dabble in theosophy, spiritualism, or kindred studies. It is very likely that the dead still live and are near. But if they are, let them alone. Mind your own business. Wherever the spirits of the dead may be, they have their own work to do and their own problems to solve. We have no right to interfere with them. We cannot help them, and it's very doubtful whether they can help us or whether we have any right to trespass upon their time if they can. Let the dead and the hereafter alone. Solve your own problems. Get rich. If you begin to mix with the occult, you will start mental cross-currents which will surely bring your hopes to shipwreck. Lastly, this and the preceding sessions have brought us to the following statement of basic facts. There is a thinking stuff from which all things are made, and which, in its original state, permeates and penetrates and fills the inner spaces of the universe. A thought in this substance produces a thing that is imaged by the thought. You can form things in your thought, and by impressing your thought upon formless substance, you can cause the thing you think about to be created. In order to do this, you must pass from the competitive to the creative mind. You must form a clear mental picture of the things you want. And you must hold this picture in your thoughts with the fixed purpose to get what you want and the unwavering faith that you will get what you want, closing your mind against all that may tend to shake your purpose, dim your vision, or quench your faith. Isn't that beautiful? And in addition to all this, we shall now see that we must live and act in a certain way. Do you know, if you bring the picture of the stick person back to your mind, mentally see the stick person in your mind. The mind is the head, everything from the neck down is being the body. You've got the imaginary horizontal line running from ear to ear. Above it is the conscious mind. Below it is this thinking stuff, this universal power, and whatever you put into it is expressed on the physical plane with and through your body. Do you know that all the way through this program, Wallace Wattles is telling you exactly how to use that model to improve the quality of your life? The first exercise we give you suggests that you take a look at what type of environment you were raised in with respect to your wealth. Were you poor or middle class? Was there lack or limitation? Make a written description of your upbringing and then sit down and explain it to someone else. Write it all out. Now, when you've completed this exercise, you have taken a look into the past, you saw how you lived, and you described it, you put it on paper. Leave it on the paper. Let the dead bury the dead. Then promise yourself that you will never write or speak of your past in this manner again. Fill your mind with thoughts of good times. Now there's one final exercise for this lesson. Wattles said, by thought, the thing you want is brought to you. By action, you receive it. In a previous session, you wrote a description of the image of wealth you are going to practice holding with your will every day. Mentally put yourself in a very quiet and relaxed vibration. Then read or reread what you wrote 2 or 3 times. And when you've done that, be aware of the action steps you will feel that you should take now. Now think of what we're saying. You wrote out the image of your...
A true and clear vision of wealth if we are constantly turning our attention to opposing pictures, either external or imaginary. We shouldn't be talking to other people about our past financial troubles. In fact, he said, do not think of them at all. Do not tell anyone about the poverty of your parents or hardships of your early life. He suggested we put poverty and all things that pertain to poverty completely behind us. Now, if you're thinking that's a difficult thing to do, I would be one of the first people to agree with you. But I learned many years ago that as long as I behaved in that manner, as long as I kept regurgitating my not-so-positive facts of the past, and believe me, I had plenty to regurgitate, my life would not have gone where I wanted it to go. It was solely and only up to me to break that habit. Fortunately, at a very early part of my business career, W. Clement Stone, who at one time was the wealthiest man in the United States, became a close mentor of mine. He had a simple cure that benefited me greatly. He called it his "that's good" therapy. It didn't matter what happened, nor whether it had happened 10 years ago or 10 months ago or 10 minutes ago. No matter what happened, I learned to say, "That's good." Then I would consciously step back and look for the good in it. And you know what? I always found it. You see, W. Clement Stone understood the importance of the proper use of the will, and I am indebted to him today for teaching me something that has benefited me 1,000-fold in my lifetime. You see, his good friend Napoleon Hill, who wrote Think and Grow Rich, had taught him that every negative event contains the seed of an equal or greater benefit. It's that old phrase that when life hands you a lemon, squeeze it and make lemonade. Let me give you a good example of this out of my own life. When I was working for Stone at the W. Clement and Jesse V. Stone Foundation in Chicago, I used to take the train home from work. One day I was so tired I fell asleep on the train and went way past my stop. When I woke up, I immediately got off at the next stop and found myself in an Italian neighborhood in Chicago. I had never been in this neighborhood before. Now, before working with Stone, I would have probably started to mentally beat myself up for being so stupid as to fall asleep and miss my stop. Instead, I said to myself, "That's good." And I stepped back and I began to look for the good in the situation. I decided that rather than simply cross the tracks and wait for the next train south, I would turn it into an adventure and explore the neighborhood. I was unmarried and living alone at the time, so I found an Italian restaurant and had a great dinner there. I tried foods I had never eaten before, like eggplant parmesan and tiramisu for dessert. I talked to the owner who had come over from Italy and learned about his background and how he started his restaurant business. When I finally returned to the train station, I was full, not just of good food, but of the warmth that comes from creating a new friend. I went back to that restaurant many times with dates, and I loved walking in and being recognized. "Hi, Jack," made me feel important. You see, I had turned a potentially negative experience into a positive one simply by saying, "That's good," and looking for the good in it. In this session, Wallace Wattles also brings up another great point. He tells us it's not enough to refuse to speak about our own negative situations. Speaking of anyone else's misfortune won't get us anywhere either. He specifically states that whenever you think or speak of those who are poor, think and speak of them as those who are becoming rich, as those who are to be congratulated rather than to be pitied. Then they and others will catch the inspiration and begin to search for the way out. I want you to try this mode of thinking and speaking for just one day. Stop yourself when or if you hear yourself talking about anything in your sorry past or in your sorry present. Refuse to begin or even to participate in any conversation around you that's depressing, that's full of low-frequency thoughts, discussions about other people's plight. And when you hear those conversations going on around you, build a quick mental picture in your mind of those individuals living in wealth and abundance. I promise you, you'll find this to be an eye-opening kind of day.